Welcome back to the final part of my Humankind guide, where today, in collaboration with Amplitude Studios, we'll be exploring war and combat. Combat begins, perhaps, with a diplomatic grievance, as we briefly touched on last time. These grievances can be renounced or escalated into demands. If those demands go unanswered, you can then choose to withdraw, gain a little bit of war support, or alternatively, immediately jump in and declare war over those political demands. Keep an eye on your opponent's attitude to get a feel for how likely they are to accept. You could also treacherously declare a surprise war, or if you have the war support, you could also choose to opt for a formal declaration. War support is vital to keep your cities stable, and it will also shape the outcome, what you come away with at the end. And it's generated by things like a dominant culture, religion, and of course military victories. Military cultures in particular may be best suited to war, not only thanks to their traits, but also iron reserves, able to quickly raise an army out of your city using its population into some half-capable units. Of course, city infrastructure, defensive buildings, and more will play a big part here too. Now that we're ready to get into the fight, let's talk combat. One thing that you need to really pay attention to in Humankind is the type of unit that you're fighting with. Here, an anti-cavalry unit against an opposing knight receives a massive +8 combat strength, as unit typing is one of the modifiers at play. Likewise here with this knight, you can see its charge. A unique ability for it gives some extra strength, as well as high ground, because terrain really matters. In this case, it's over, Anakin, I have the high ground. Rivers and forests are the notable natural features, but you need to actually see them, so make sure that you have visibility across the battlefield. This is particularly useful for ranged units who benefit from shared line of sight, clear pathways, and high ground in particular, and a reminder that strength, movement, and range, that third one, are the key metrics to keep in mind, alongside any battle-specific modifiers that may pop up in and around your units. But of course, it's not just land units in Humankind, oh no, the Navy has changed in a big way. Battleships, acting as capital ships, are powerful, expensive ships capable of bombarding land from the sea, and they gain a combat adjacency bonus when they're being escorted, which brings us handily towards another type of ship in Humankind, the escort ship. Cheaper, faster, easier to build, and often acting as a screening vessel, perhaps in defense against a nuclear submarine. Or maybe, outside of combat altogether, you'd like to use your army for some piracy, to poach enemy resources on trade routes. Or take to the skies, patrolling the air for visibility, or sending in your bombers for strategic strikes against key enemy areas and units. Or alternatively, maybe the more mobile and agile gunship to slay enemy cities. A combination of all three, of course, will be the most beneficial to securing victory in Humankind. And maybe you might even be tempted by some missiles. Take the thermonuclear missile, for example. No easy feat to get it together with civics and projects, but once you do, its destruction is unlike anything else inside of Humankind. Instead of capturing a city for the war score, you'll obliterate a city instead. Don't forget, when besieging cities in a slightly less destructive way, you can also hold the siege to generate siege units or wear down enemy defenses and militia. To end a war, navigate back to the war resolution screen, where you can propose a white peace or offer a surrender if perhaps things haven't quite gone your way. Alternatively, if you are the dominant force, you can force the opponent to surrender, taking advantage of the peace treaty negotiation using your war score as currency. Capturing enemy cities is one of the best things you can do to generate it, alongside the initial war support that we talked about at the start of the video and other actions within combat. If you choose to vassalize or destroy all other enemy empires, of course, war will lead to victory. And if anything that we discussed throughout this series, like war and combat, or alternatively research, perhaps an expedition to Mars, or just the turn limit, is something that doesn't quite float your boat, don't forget you can adjust the victory conditions at the beginning of the game inside of the pace options. Thank you so much for joining me today, and hopefully more broadly inside of this short, sharp, Humankind guide series. Thanks also to Amplitude Studios for supporting this work and generally being all-round great people. Good luck out there in your quest for victory in Humankind, and I'll see you all next time.